Face reality, people. Movies are dead. Games are dead. Narrative? Dead.
Media is nothing but neural trigger response and viral conditioning.
Wait, what are you two talking about?
All right, as everyone has heard about Shohei Ohtani and his trainer, or as his translator, Ippei Mizuhara. Ippei Mizuhara. And boy, this story looks fishy. But before we start reacting to a video, I'm going to play you a clip that gives you kind of the official story so that when we start referencing things, you know what we're talking about. So here you go.
But obviously, Alana, the biggest story in baseball is Ohtani and what exactly happened with his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara. We do know the Dodgers have fired Mizuhara. We do know that ESPN had interviewed Mizuhara for 90 minutes in which he gave a detailed account about what exactly had happened with his involvement with gamblers. Now, this is all stemming from a federal investigation into a bookmaker with whom Mizuhara was placing bets. He told ESPN that Ohtani essentially helped him pay off his debt. Next day, if you haven't been familiar with this story, the spokesman who set up that interview, the spokesman who said, hey, this was what has happened. Mizuhara was helping Ohtani, or Ohtani was helping Mizuhara pay off these debts. They disavowed that story. Ohtani's attorneys come out and say, no. Ohtani was the subject of massive theft. That is what is going on here. Mizuhara at that point retracts everything, or claims to retract everything. And yet I find it extremely odd and disturbing that here he is sitting down for 90 minutes, giving an interview to ESPN, Alana, and then suddenly, whoa, not that story. I got to give you another story, or these lawyers are going to give you another story. That is the first big question, the first red flag here.
All right. Now that you have the mainstream narrative context where, let's be honest, the guys that are usually on big networks and shit, they know they can't say certain things. They can't just throw Ohtani under the bus. Even how, like, suspicious it fucking looks. They still can't officially be like, well, he did this or he did that. Or here's the actual scenario. It has to be a bunch of allegeds, and we don't know, and we're still waiting on information, and the FBI investigation hasn't finished yet, and yada, yada, yada. But certain things are just so glaring to me and so obvious to me that luckily I have a platform and a mindset where I don't give a shit. I'm sure Anthony feels the same, where you can just say your opinion about this story that looks super duper sus to me. Super fucking sus. And unfortunately, this is the reason why people are now talking about baseball. Unfortunately.
Yo, I was thinking of that today, like that. I know I was thinking about what you were gonna say, like, wow, now people care about this shit because it's like a crazy ass kid. That's the only way this sport gets any attention. Like, they play 2 games in Korea, no one gives a shit about those games. But now this shit is like crazy.
Ironically, no one would care about that game unless you're gambling, bro. Unless you're gambling.
Ironically, yeah. Who's gonna be up at 4 a.m. on the East Coast, or at like what 1 a.m. you're watching it, or 3 a.m?
Yeah, it's no one's watching that fucking game.
Unless you're gambling, or you're gonna wake up in the morning. Yo, what happened? Because you were gambling.
So
it seems other people have been gambling at the same time.
Yeah, apparently. So to go over like more of the, like, how it's very suspicious looking, we do have a brave soul that's a part of more of a bigger size platform to talk about this topic, and his name's Craig Carton, who is an ex-gambler, right?
Yeah, he does a gambling anonymous show, like
Okay.
trying to do right, like, because he like, little backstory. He had a little like Ponzi scheme going where he asked for investors to invest in a company where he would give them like Taylor Swift concert tickets and like all these yeah, and he swindled $6 million to pay
Goddamn.
gambling debts,
Oh,
and he went to jail for it.
Damn, these guys are like in the same fucking ballpark,
Yeah,
apparently.
yeah. That's why he's a good guy to talk to about this.
Yeah.
He lived that life.
So he's probably the perfect guest that WFAN is gonna. If you're a East Coaster or New York area, like, you'll know what WFAN is, and sports talk radio, and they fortunately know this guy and have access to
He
him.
used to work there. He used to work there. He left to go do FS1 in the morning on
Okay.
TV.
Okay. So either way, this is
He
probably the
will
perfect
probably
guest.
replace. He will probably replace Nick Wright, and Nick Wright will probably replace Skip Bayless.
Oh,
Yeah, that's where it's going.
oh damn. Well. Oh well. All right. let's hear Craig here talking about this Shohei Ohtani. It is a scandal, let's be honest. Here we go.
Bring a unique perspective to all this as somebody that obviously dealt with the demons of gambling. When you saw this story late last night or early this morning, what was your first reaction to everything that came out, from the changing story to what we now know about Ohtani and his involvement in this?
Well, my first reaction was, I find it very hard to believe the current narrative of what has allegedly taken place. And B, I think the advisors to Shohei Ohtani have done him a tremendous disservice in changing the story so quickly after they're the ones that put the interpreter in front of reporters for well over an hour.
Or made it juicier for us, like you said earlier.
Fucking. Well, man, I'm like writing notes out of like things so I don't forget to say. He might say them in this video. So I'm gonna let this build up a little bit. I'm gonna let this build up a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here we go.
Hour. You're in between the two games in Seoul, Korea the last couple of days. Because it's one thing if you're going to try to convince the public that Shohei Ohtani is completely clueless as to his finances and money coming in and out of his account and was duped by a close friend, or even if you want to take it, and be true to what the original story was, he's got a dear friend who's got a gambling problem, gets himself in hot water. He has the financial resources to bail the friend out. That's a great narrative. That's a great story. Who wouldn't want to have a friend in their life that's willing to do that for you if they can afford it? And you can sell that story too.
Yep.
The issue, though, is when you come out an hour later and now say not only did Shohei Ohtani not bail his friend out and not, help him out with a major gambling debt, the money was stolen from his account. That's a complete polar opposite of the original story. And they're the ones that orchestrated the original story. So for me, I'm not naive enough to believe that there's a lot of smoke and no fire. And I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, maybe months, as the federal investigators start looking into this now, which they're doing already because of the allegations that there's this illegal bookmaker in Orange County, California that's under investigation, they're not going to leave any stone unturned. And God forbid there's a single bet, I don't care who made it, on baseball, you now have the most prominent athlete in the world who happens to be a baseball player who is not going to be allowed to play baseball, should that be the case.
Yeah, especially if it's...
Now, yes, it's mainly because of Japan, right? The entire country is like, it's one of the main reasons. And in America, right? He's very popular. But either way, the reason why I'm going to disagree with Craig hey, maybe they should have stuck with the original story, because that shit is illegal in the state of California. I think that's what the lawyers realize, or maybe what they advised Ohtani after Ippei said his story to ESPN or whatever. Right? They realize that's illegal. You are partaking in that gambling because you're paying up the debt with an illegal bookie who's being federally investigated. That makes you kind of like a part of it.
Can I ask you a question? Was he like that whole ESPN interview is like what I don't get? Was he being interviewed because for positive reasons, or was he being interviewed because he had already been caught? Or was ESPN working on a story and then trying to do the Miguel Tejada, they're trying to fuck him over on the spot? Do you know anything about that?
If I had to guess, I believe it's the LA Times that were breaking this story. And of course,
Okay.
with journalists, right? They ask ahead of time, like, "Hey, do you want to make a comment about this thing that's about to go down?" Right?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this guy went right to the Ippei guy, the translator, went right to fucking ESPN and said, "We're gonna get out of like in." And this is my conspiracy theory here. In conjunction with what Otani wanted, like they're like, "I'm gonna go to ESPN and tell this story that makes you look good, and I'll take the fall. I'll look bad."
Be the fall guy. Yeah.
Yes, but then uh, they realize, like, wait a minute, this is illegal. Like, he's knowingly paying an illegal bookie.
Yeah.
What he's supposed to do on paper is like call the cops, right?
Yeah.
But instead, he's like, I'm gonna help a friend out and pay for this, which puts him
Yeah.
in legal trouble. He's now partaking in the illegal gambling.
Whether that story's true or not, it's like you're already implicated.
Yes. And later, like obviously, like Otani's lawyers were like, "Oh no, this guy stole the money," and I forgot what Ippei said. The translator said, I think he was saying something to like get himself off the hook as well in regards to that. I'll probably look it up while we're recording,
Yeah.
but yeah, even the money
Oh
being
no, wasn't
Good?
wasn't his like loophole that he didn't know the difference between DraftKings, FanDuel, and an illegal bookie,
yes, like he thought it was like the same thing.
which is like insane. Like, what do you mean? So it's two prong, right? Because Craig's gonna get into it about that narrative. It's two prong.
Yeah,
Either either you were really like intricate in this and you knew you couldn't bet in facilities, which you would be most of the time with Otani, or or be anywhere where it would be suspicious to bet on games around an MLB sites,
yeah.
or two you're like it's I don't know what the other one would be. It would be like I don't know, like unbelievable incompetency.
Well, listen, I'm gonna say something here, and this is my theory of where it stands right now, and this is just my intuition and my conspiracy theory here. There's nothing proven about it. This is not official at all. I'm thinking Otani was the one gambling,
Me too.
and like all these scenarios, like you don't just do it yourself. You're Shohei Ohtani. You have one of your guys do it for you, right? Now,
Yeah.
I do find it somewhat believable that they looked at it like FanDuel or something like that. Maybe that's the case. Maybe. Like maybe they thought like it's legal in California. Like I didn't know it was illegal in California till this story popped off, to be honest with you. But at the same time, if it were legal, these guys would still not be using
They would still use the illegal bookie because
it's so much money.
You're so close to this guy. Yeah, you can't.
Well, you can't bet $500,000 in a fucking on FanDuel. You
Yeah, on
can't.
FanDuel, yeah. You can't. They would literally like shut your shit off.
Yeah, so they're probably looking for high roller shit. This guy's a multi-millionaire.
And who can take that kind of action, Jordan? That's not a casino.
Exactly.
Some of the most shady people on the planet.
Yeah. Because I just find it hard to believe that this translator was even if he says like, "Hey, I know Shohei Ohtani." Like even if he says that, why would the bookie be like, "Yeah, you're good. You know him? Cool."
Oh.
Wouldn't he be like, "Oh, don't worry, this guy will
Carr's
pay for me."
Yeah, Carr's gonna get into that.
Okay.
He's gonna get into that.
You would think that, right? Like the bookie would be like, "Yo, you have to prove that you can pay me in order for me to like let you build up this debt like this." 100%.
Well, Carr would even say, "Well, maybe you could do a favor for a favor."
What do you mean? Or what does he mean?
Well, you know Shohei Ohtani. Do you know any information I can use to place a bet?
Oh, true. Well, but then why does he lose? Wouldn't he be losing fate by losing up to $4.5 million? Like, yo, your shit ain't working out, bro.
It's a theory, but yeah, there's more to it.
Yeah,
For sure. The losing the constant losing of money is what doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm before you hit play, I'm gonna disagree with people that are putting most of the emphasis about base. I understand why if he's gambling on baseball, why like that's the whole Pete Rose thing, and you're banned from the game, and you're the biggest star, straight up. Like Pete Rose was like a fucking manager or player coach, right? When he was doing
Yeah.
that shit. This is like the number one star in the sport, and
Yeah.
if he's gambling on baseball, you have to treat him like Pete Rose. Otherwise, they look like hypocrites. So he's gonna be banned for life then, right? If they find out that he's gambling on baseball,
Not at this junction in baseball. I don't think so.
he would have to be. Otherwise, there would be
He would have to
major
be. He's gonna get
outrage.
hit hard either way. Craig's also saying, think about the players he's rubbed shoulders with.
True.
As far as betting, because if we're to take it at face value, that there's all these. Well, it's like you can even look at it dumb guy logic. This guy doesn't know English. He has an interpreter. I'm assuming the interpreter's around him when he sees other players.
Yeah.
And he might pick up it on at the most like in the most charitable scenario. He's picking up on cues from these players. Like, oh, this guy drinks. Oh, this guy smokes. Oh, this guy likes snorting lines off a hooker's ass. That's Strickland.
He's got an injury, but he's hiding it. They haven't reported it yet.
I'm injured right now, but he's playing through it.
Yeah, like, yeah, I understand the gambling on baseball part, and maybe and then that would be what you're saying right there. That'd be fucking super criminal for baseball, at least. But this is still worthy of a. It feels like people are trying to write it off because maybe it's not about gambling on baseball, which means it makes it kind of okay. Like, no.
That's what Rosenthal did.
Yeah.
Rosenthal's trying his motherfucking ass off. I guess he has to.
I
Or
mean,
even in conversation, it's like he won't even like broach the possibility that he did it. And I can understand if that's just the nature, being a creature of habit, if that's why he's doing it. But
and I'll be fair because like if this motherfucker is spending $500,000 a month on fucking paying back gambling debt, what's he willing to pay on lawyers to sue your ass for defamation or some shit?
Yeah.
If the story comes out differently,
True.
he ain't gonna do that with us. So like we can just talk shit and go about it.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard for him to come out of this one. I gotta see this.
Yeah. All right. Let's hear more from Craig. Here we go.
On it's life if it's on the Angels, but it'll be obviously just a year if it's on baseball at all. But is this not plausible, Craig, that Shohei Ohtani's lawyers
It would only be a year if he bet on
allowed
baseball
Ippei to speak, and he started to say something that they immediately realized made Shohei Ohtani not a victim, but more liable for putting money or giving money to an illegal gambling ring. Right? If he just doing that, just Shohei Ohtani doing that is a crime in California. So didn't they just hear Ippei say, you know what? You just implicated your partner, your friend, Shohei, in a crime. So they had to change it. Like they had to flip the narrative.
Yeah.
So it gets a little murky on that specific part of the story, Tiki, for a couple of reasons. One, they've got the bank transfers from Shohei's personal bank account to this alleged bookmaker. So there's no disputing that money was sent from his account to the bookmaker. It's going to be very hard for anyone to buy the notion that Shohei at some point does not become aware that there's bank transfers from his personal account. The legality or illegality of this story, is confusing for a lot of people. California, of course, quite famously has voted down, I think twice now, the attempts by lawmakers to legalize gambling the way we have it in New York and New Jersey and about 35 other states here. But it's never been illegal to place the bet. It's always been illegal to book the bet, and that comes down to what they call the vigorish or the vig, which is you're risking 110 to win 100, that type of thing.
Right.
So while the baseball
I didn't know
is
that.
clear that it's no problem for baseball players, much like hockey players in the NHL, football players in the NFL, and basketball players in the NBA. They are all allowed to make legal wagers on every sport other than their own. And the wording is very specific that if you make a wager that's not legal, it doesn't mean you've broken the law.
Mm-hmm.
It just means that it's not recognized as a legal wager because you're using an illegal bookmaker to make the bet,
Got it.
that's when you run afoul of this Rule 21 rule in the collective bargaining agreement, which then gives the commissioner full discretion on what the punishment is. So Shohei's not at risk of going to prison or being arrested or any of that. They're going after the bookmaker for that.
Got it.
But where I'm trying to figure out the play here is this.
Now, before he continues, okay, so he corrected me on what I was thinking, which is that it's straight up illegal, like straight up illegal, and you can't gamble at all. But I guess you're allowed to make bets, but you can't be the bookie. Like that's the guy doing the illegal thing, which is weird. But all right, that throws that other thing for a loop. Why they changed the story?
No, Jordan. But in the collective bargaining agreement, you can't make bets to that person. Because he didn't do FanDuel or DraftKings. He did it through and it's like, this is something that you knowingly are doing to avert that rule in the collective bargaining agreement.
So they did this horrible PR move for the sake of, because he's going to get, if that's the case, and they're like, okay, whatever, you're implicated in this whole bet thing with your translator, we're going to give you a slap on the, it's at the commissioner's discretion, like you said. To where like, oh, here, we'll give you the slap on the wrist because you didn't gamble on baseball or anything, or it wasn't illegal technically, so you're fine, but you got to take a punishment for this, and then we'll make it disappear, and then boom, you can go continue playing. Like,
it may be just a fine, dude, and this guy's got the richest contract in sports history.
Yeah. Now, here's a little bit of another where it gets a little hairy. Here is okay, sure, it's not legal. Or it's not illegal to do what he did there, but if he was gambling on baseball games, right, then maybe that'd be the reason why the whole 180 on the story, where this guy's like, "Oh, I'm coming out. This guy helped me. I'm a gambling addict, and my friend helped me." Oh wait, never mind. He had nothing to do with this. Like maybe that's the reason of the 180.
Angle. Yeah, that's Craig's angle at the end of the video.
Fair enough. Because, okay. Let's play more.
Once you come out and you've now publicly accused the interpreter of embezzlement, wire fraud, and theft, and you've turned over whatever documents you claim to have to the federal investigators, that person, the interpreter in this case, is now looking at the real possibility of doing time in federal prison.
Yeah.
Yes.
And as much as you might think you know him, as soon as you turn your back on him publicly, I know what the prosecutors are going to do. They're going to press him as much as they possibly can
for information,
and possibly offer him some kind of deal or even immunity to go after the bigger fish, which in this case is the face of baseball and Shohei Ohtani. So he better.
That's a great point. Yes, the one dude is like, he's fucked. He's fucked, man. He lost his job. And if the story is that he stole it, I mean, is it going to be up to like Ohtani pressing charges or not? Like, will that be the, like, if Ohtani's like, you know what, I'm not going to press charges. This is my longtime friend. I'm not going to do it. So maybe he gets off that way.
Yeah.
But if it's, maybe those things aren't up to pressing charges or not. Maybe they're just straight up crimes, and you get in trouble.
Yeah, they're straight up crimes. He has nothing to do with that.
Yeah. By the way, I heard something. Fuck, I forgot who said it. But they said someone matched up timelines to when Ohtani was playing and when this story is kind of coming about, where Ohtani would know about the story already, but yet he's still palling around in the dugout with this translator guy.
Oh,
have you heard that? Have you heard that? Like that?
No, I've not heard that.
I heard someone say it. I forgot who. I'll have to go through my videos and maybe find the clip of it. And I don't know if it's true or not. I haven't sat down and matched the fucking timelines of when they're playing in Korea and when, Ohtani's supposed to be like knowing about all this. But if that's the case, like,
it would have to be this
adds
game
another
that
layer.
just happened today. It would have to be this game that just happened today in the morning. Because yeah. So like I knew about this last night, but I didn't tell you because we were talking with ghosts and stuff.
Yeah.
And I got wind about this like 8 p.m., 9 p.m.
Yeah, I think I saw something too, but I didn't take it. I didn't even look at it like to take it serious. Honestly, I saw Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. I'm like, Whatever. And I saw the thumbnail and saw a little bit of the title, but didn't really. I saw 4.5 million in the title, and I moved on. I didn't like pay attention to it.
And so, I wonder if the timeline is including this game that happened this morning. If that interpreter was there today and this morning, I'll be like, yeah, that's crazy.
If this guy is correct, who said this, I forgot who it was. Forget. I'll try to look for a clip and then post it or put it in the video. But all right. Until then, let me back up. All right. Here's more Craig Carton.
Bigger fish, which in this case is the face of baseball and Shohei Ohtani. So he better have it locked down that there was never a single bet on baseball, because if he doesn't have that locked down,
Right.
there's no doubt in my mind this interpreter turns.
What's interesting is his interpreter, Mizuhara, who's now told us two different stories, essentially, also is adamant he only bet on soccer, the NBA, the NFL, and college football.
Every sport except baseball.
That's a public statement thing, right? That's not like he would have to say that anyways, because it's a prepared statement that I think is I think it's working with Ohtani and his people to make that statement. I think from this guy, but they were like, you know what? Kill this story. This guy stole from Ohtani. Killed the ESPN story. That I think it was an hour and a half interview they did. Killed that fucking story, and then and he's the one who killed it, by the way, the interpreter, right? Like, I think he's allowed to say things, right? He's not allowed, like, he's allowed to talk. So I think he's the one who killed the story with ESPN and said, no, don't release that story. And then Ohtani's people are like, no, none of this happened, and this guy just stole from Ohtani to pay his gambling debts, which doesn't make sense to me. Is he like the hacker of hackers? Did he hack his account and then do that? And then
why would this guy? And then, because the official narrative was no, Ohtani was just being a nice guy and he paid for it.
Yes, but they turned that around. And they said no to that.
Yeah. That's why you're saying what you're saying. No, I didn't get it at first, but yeah, that's because Ohtani and his people changed the story up.
Yes, and it's like, was he stealing $500,000 a month from you?
Yeah, like how did he get?
And you not notice? And you not notice? Your bank didn't notice? Like, come on.
Yeah, because when you have a transaction like that, the bank's gonna call you.
Yes, 100% yes. And there's certain verification steps that have to go through and all that stuff.
Yeah. So what happened?
Yeah, and if it says loan on like the check on the wire transfer check or whatever, it says loan on it. Like what he stole, or maybe tried to make it look like Ohtani gave him the money, which is, once again, none of that sounds even possible unless Ohtani's just stashing cash around his house, which is not the case, right? These are wire transfers. This isn't $500,000 of cash just laying around his house that he just stole and then brought this is like computer, this is electronics. There's going to be a fingerprint somewhere. So how the fuck would Ohtani not know about any of this? His accountants wouldn't notice it. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's too much of a paper trail for you to say, "Oh, I didn't know."
Did he say? What if Mizuhara, the translator, was what was he like asking, making excuses like, "Hey man, my dog's really sick. He needs surgery. Can I borrow $500,000?"
Yeah, for $500,000, dude, that's crazy.
Over periods of time, like over and over and over. Hey man, like he's gonna keep making up he's gonna keep making up excuses to get $500,000 every month. Like, come on. That's nonsensical. So, yeah, there's a lot of dumb guy logic things that just, like, can seem to, like, sweep away any of these narratives that are being put out here. And I'm glad Craig is, like, poking holes in all this shit. And using his fucking brain instead of just going, this is the official story we have so far. We can't really say any other than that. Like, stop it. Stop it. We're not dumb, bro. But, all right. Here's more.
The NBA, the NFL, and college football.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
I don't buy it at all, too, because he was making, $200,000-$300,000 a year, nice living, but he racked up a $4.5 million debt, which means he was getting desperate.
Fuck?
If he's desperate and he's inside an MLB locker room with intimate knowledge, how do we not come to the conclusion he placed bets on baseball?
No, you look, maybe he didn't, but again, let's not be naive. My opinion is that there's a better chance that he did than he didn't. So I'll walk you through the mind of a compulsive gambler. Because I am one. When you're a compulsive gambler and you're starting to chase losses, you typically lose all discipline, whatever discipline you might have had in making wagers in the first place. Now you're desperate because if my boss finds out that I'm $4 or $5 million in the hole, I'm out of a job and I'm screwed and I can't pay the bookie off, right?
Yeah.
So you're now going to make betting decisions, which again are not rational to the average person, but in the mind of a compulsive gambler, what he's going to do, most likely, is I'm going to try to make a bet on something I know better than anything else. I suck at betting international soccer, clearly. I suck at college sports and the NFL. What sport do I know the most? Exactly what you're alluding to. I'm inside the Dodger locker room now, and in the past in the Angels locker room, and I'm privy to information on injuries, who's playing, who's not playing, who had a tough day, whose fastball isn't, at 99 miles per hour, et cetera.
Yes.
And it makes complete sense to me, having lived that life, that the way out of the debt is to bet on something you know better than anyone else, which would bring me to him betting on baseball. Now,
here's what, like, once again, who lets that guy get that much debt buildup? Debt buildup without like knowing, like, oh, Otani's going to take care of this.
Yeah, like where's his credibility to get that kind of
like,
action?
Come on, bro. There's no fucking way. There's no fucking way they like ran it like. And I heard someone make this point. I think it was Dan Lebitard. He made the point like if in reality, like, bookies don't want you to like keep losing and losing and losing and losing to where they can't pay you back.
Samson said that. Yeah, Samson said
It was Samson. Okay, it was Samson. Where it's like, don't they want you to be able to fucking like stick around, stay in the game, and like keep winning and losing?
Constant cash flow.
Yes.
Constant cash flow.
Yes. So, unless they knew the guy who actually has the debt can pay up the $4.5 million, there's no way they would just let that keep going, because then it reaches a point where the guy can't fucking pay you. Maybe they made some sort of like gangster thing where it's like, okay, we'll hold you hostage now because you owe us so much money. We'll get you to do things for us.
Yeah, and Ohtani paid him.
Maybe.
Or that's what. Yeah, that was my conspiracy theory. Or they asked a favor for a favor.
Yes. Which kid would be really dark? Oh god. But yeah, I don't think that guy would even give that up. Like, don't worry, there's Japanese gangsters too, bro. They'll find that fool. This Matthew Brower guy, the bookie.
Yeah.
They're not gonna let you hold Ohtani fucking hostage like that. There's no way. There's gotta be some big money fucking gangsters that Ohtani's been around that would protect them. That's my guess. Maybe even American ones, who knows? But all right, let's keep going. Yeah, there's no way, dude. But the translator. You're the translator for Ohtani? Wow. Want to bet $500,000? It's like, what? All right, here we go.
You know better than anyone else, which would bring me to him betting on baseball. Now, this bookie, according to what I've read, if this is a legitimate, widespread, major operation, the way it sounds, this guy most likely has a track record of every single wager ever made by this interpreter or anyone on his behalf.
Yeah.
Because you don't give, I don't care who you are. You can talk to any bookie in the tri-state area. If you know a guy's making $250,000 a year, you are not extending him credit to go in $5 million into debt. It will not happen.
Yes.
Right. So now the question becomes, why is Major League Baseball, and this is what Evan led our show with, why are they not investigating? Is it because they're sitting behind the federal investigation, or are they just literally giving him the benefit of the doubt?
No.
What were you gonna say?
No, I'm saying they're fucked. The feds got involved. Now they can't, like, how are they gonna? They can't meddle.
I mean,
so they can't control the situation now.
I mean, but they can get some things a little bit done. I get what you're saying now.
But the feds are they're gonna trounce on that dude. He's gonna tap a toe. You have to tell what happened.
Yep. Unless they say, like, yo, the Mizuhara, the translator guy, like, we don't really care about you. We care about the bookie. Yeah. So tell us everything you know about the bookie.
All type of psychological methods to get him to tell them exactly what they want. And yeah, they'll definitely do that. Like, listen, they'll do good cop, bad cop on him. Like, listen, we'll help you out, but you got to help us out understand what happened.
Yeah.
They're gonna ask him all types of leading ass questions.
Yeah. And it starts showing pictures of jail cells and all the prisoners that are where he's going to be going.
To avoid all this, just tell us who really put you up to this, because you're clearly not the guy. He's not the guy. An idiot could tell you that. He's not the guy. You're not the guy orchestrating this shit. Come on, dude. You don't make enough money. You had to do this shit for years and not spend a dime to spend this kind of money.
Hey, you want to go to jail? You want to go home? Huh?
Yeah, you want to go to jail?
Yeah, you ever been to the booty house? Huh? You ever been to the booty house?
They're gonna press him, bro. Craig knows that shit. They're gonna press him. They're gonna apply the pressure on him. Like, listen, man.
Shit. That should be a
You really
comedy
want to go
sketch.
down for him? You really want to go down for him? Bro? They're gonna start calling you candy and chocolate.
I need Denzel to be training day on this fool. Yeah. Want to go to jail? You want to go home? Huh? Up to you. All right. Here we go. That's fucking hilarious.
Investigation, or are they just literally giving him the benefit of the doubt?
No, they're not giving him the benefit of the doubt. So I spoke with high executives with Major League Baseball this morning, and they will reach out if they haven't already. Now the few hours have passed. They will reach out to the federal investigators that are in charge of this case out in California, and if the investigators tell them that they have no problem with a parallel investigation into what happened, then baseball will begin their own investigation. There are times, however, because of the sensitive nature of information, the access to witnesses or people willing to talk to you, that the Fed sometimes will say, do us a favor, wait for us to finish our investigation because it's a criminal investigation now, and then you can do your own once we're done.
Got it.
So I'm not sure where that's at now, but baseball for sure is not sitting on its hands. They're going to wait for the Feds to give them some direction as to when they can start their own.
How worried are they? Because this could be, and we talked about it back in the day, with gambling it becoming more prevalent, that this is the fear sports has, where it loses kind of the trust of the public. How nervous is and should Major League Baseball be about what they're going to find out?
I can't answer that only because I don't know the private conversations that Rob Manfred and his team have clearly had to have had now with Shohei and his team. And if you buy the fact that Shohei really does not speak a lot of English, this is through a different interpreter, right? A third interpreter, a second interpreter now. So they've got a long flight home, and I guarantee you this conversation is taking place. And my gut would be based on what they gleaned from that conversation, their level of worry would change dramatically. I can tell you this. Much like Roger Goodell in the NFL, Adam Silver, of course, and Gary Bettman, and what you said, this has always been their biggest fear. And in this case, you're not talking about the 25th man on a roster where you can kind of kick it down the lane and put it under the rug and no one knows about it. Like I said, and you guys know, this is the face of sports. There's no bigger athlete in the world than this guy, which is why it's so troubling. So baseball's got to be concerned about it. Because if there's a bet on baseball, they're going to have to suspend him.
Yeah.
And there can be no wiggle room on that.
Yeah.
One other thing that came out, which I find interesting on people.
Now, real quick. This put baseball in the forefront in America. Around the world, this is probably a big news story. But let's be honest. What audience would baseball want the most? Who do they cater rules to and all that shit? Americans. They want the American audience back. And this story definitely put baseball in the top of the headlines for the first time in who knows how long.
Yeah.
Probably the last scandal. Right? But Americans are going to go back to not caring after this story ends. Right? They're going to go back to not caring about the sport at all anyways. But these international motherfuckers, and Japan specifically, and Asia and all that shit, like, these guys need him to be clean and want him to be clean. Right, in this whole story, so it's like,
they do.
Would baseball fuck around and because it works like movies, where it's like Americans think Venom sucks ass. Well, they go to China and make $1 billion. And they're like, I don't care what you think. We're making the money that we want to make from this property, aka this player. Right, so maybe they don't give a fuck what the American audience thinks. So they may actually want to kill this story and say sacrifice the American fans who already don't give a shit, and make sure the international fans stay happy and enjoy the show, because they're the ones fucking paying us right now. Someone said this guy's worth $1 billion, like from like his name alone. Maybe not him, maybe not him personally, but like what he generates is like that.
So the Angels, right?
Yeah.
They said the Angels, when every year he played for them, made $250 million a year in advertisements from Japanese companies. And it's why he's worth the amount of money he got paid. He was worth that in the entire Japanese economy will fluctuate to any team he's on.
Yes.
To where even when he's at a press conference, there's probably like 200 reporters and 85% of them are Japanese. He's that big in that country, and that country it translates to actual dollars for the Dodgers, him and the company selling him as a product or
and
as like
and
a
Major League
product placement.
Baseball.
And Major League Baseball, yes.
Oh man.
So and you better believe this has to take a hit. You almost have to cover for him if you're baseball and the Dodgers. The Dodgers of all teams they made the biggest investment in him, even more than baseball.
Is it?
They have a vested interest in keeping his name clean, or he's not going to be worth the $700 million they paid him. He makes $50 million or something. I think it might be more than that. Off on endorsements, he makes more money from endorsements than he does from the contract he's being paid.
Which is a ridiculous contract.
Yeah, and he's still getting paid more than that. It might be like 120, I think, a year. Something like that.
So
up to.
So essentially, America, you can go fuck yourselves. The sport that you kind of honed, made famous, all that shit, is now the league looks at you as irrelevant, probably, compared to this guy, right?
Not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I mean, come on. If they're willing to, like, look, if Major League Baseball, just like with the steroid era and Bud Selig, right? If the commissioners and all that shit bury the stories and all that, American fans look down upon it, right? They do. They look down upon it. So if this happens and they bury this story, American fans will look down upon it, but it won't hurt the bottom line as far as
hurt their bottom line because no one's watching the games as is.
Yes.
And that number's dwindling. Sorry to say, whoever thinks the otherwise.
So it's like kind of America's pastime is just like it's not anymore. It's just not. If I had to guess.
No.
So yeah, if you're American and you're a baseball fan, don't look for them to be looking after your interests in regards to whatever happens from this.
Competitive balance, please. Yeah. Half the teams don't spend money, dude. More than half, because they see that their returns are dwindling, and if you're in the business of maximizing profits, giving out big contracts is not a inducive of making more money in the sport.
Yes.
You don't make more money competing for championships. You make more money cutting payroll and cutting everything to the bone because guess what? The fucking Rangers just won a championship and they didn't add any payroll. They're fucking cutting payroll because they lost their TV deal.
Here's the thing. You told me that. I didn't even remember. I didn't remember the Rangers won the fucking World Series.
Yeah,
this is where,
didn't remember.
This is where
that's how irrelevant the sport is.
Where we're at, man. I'm watching my team. Everything else can eat a bag of dicks.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish this up. Here we go.
People kind of, just jump along without doing any research on them. There is a clause in Shohei's contract which says specifically, if the team president or ownership changes, he would have an out to get out of the contract.
Yes.
There is no clause in his contract that says if they fire the interpreter, he can void the contract.
Yes.
So,
that is by the way, that is an urban legend that's grown. We took calls on it today, and I was telling everybody what you said.
He's going to want to separate from the translator, right?
It's not the interpreter. It's the team president. So it's not like Ohtani's opting out and, walking to the Bronx tomorrow.
Yeah.
They fired him, but Ohtani himself is going to want to separate from that guy.
Yeah,
even if they're friends behind the scenes, the public eye, he's going to have to separate.
Acutely aware of the implication, or not even the implication, like the consequence of gambling on your sport. I mean, every player has heard this ad nauseum And I refuse to believe it's lost in translation just because Shohei Ohtani doesn't speak English, right? Why would he or anybody that gets involved in this who's making millions and millions upon millions of dollars, over $500 million over the course of this contract, why would he even entertain this?
All right, so it's a good question. I've seen a lot of people reference he makes so much money. Why would he gamble? And all I can say to you in that is, I made a lot of money.
It's
and I
fun.
gambled. The amount of money you have, the income you have, doesn't dictate whether or not you're willing to take the risk of gambling.
True, but Craig, you're not. But Craig, hold on, you're not gambling on Sports Talk Radio, right? Right. So, like, why? You know what? Where you eat type of thing. That's what I'm asking.
Yep, because once you're sitting home alone in your apartment or your house, you're not thinking about the rules. And to be fair, the NFL especially, the rules are a little convoluted as to what you can and can't do, where you can and can't do stuff. Like, real quick, just as an example, an NFL player can wager on, college basketball, let's say, right?
Yeah.
But he can't do it from the car that he's sitting in the team parking lot. That violates the rules.
What?
Now, if he drives across the street to the local Wawa, he can make the bet from there, but he can't do it, at the team facility. So there are some convoluted rules. And largely, Keek, and you know this better than anyone, we're talking about young men, type A personalities, who aren't all that concerned with what the teacher has to tell them.
Yeah.
The best example of that, and you've lived this life with guys, and I know guys, whether they've been, talked about or not, a bad example, but the NFL has long had a policy where they offer players free car service 24/7. You get a phone number, you call the number.
Yeah.
It's
So
kind of like Uber, but
because of DUIs and all that shit that was happening.
And yet, every year there'll be NFL players who get in the car, unfortunately, and make bad decisions.
Right.
They're aware that the car service exists.
Right. They don't want the team to know.
Right. Right. So now playing.
You can say the same with like drug testing and shit like that, like, or like these guys who claim like, oh, I took a protein powder and I tested positive. I thought it was just a normal protein powder. Like, well, the league or the fighting league, right? Like UFC, they provide you with like 24/7 service. You're like, hey, bring your protein powder in and we can test everything you have, everything you're gonna take. We'll test all of it, and then from there, like, we'll find out if there's shit in it or not. But these guys still say fuck it anyway, which means they're most likely trying to cheat the system. Let's be honest. But there are services I think provided for these athletes, for these $1 million. They're not just athletes; they're assets to the league. These are financial assets for these guys. So yes, they will provide Ubers to stop DUIs because it hurts their game when fucking your best linebacker's not in the lineup that day or whatever. I mean, hurts, gets you headlines, but how many people are paying attention to that random linebacker as opposed to the big game on Sunday? More people are probably more interested in the game. But all right, here we go.
Yeah, let's say this is maybe the best example I can give you. You're a teetotaler, you're a by the rule guy. You're not going to set up an account on one of the gambling sites, but your younger brother's interested in it, so you're going to fund it, but he's going to set up the account.
Yeah.
And he lost his job. He's having a tough time. He's got to pay his mortgage, and you're tired of writing him the check. You're like, hey, by the way, I like the Falcons this weekend. And whatever, you're on your bye week or something like that. That happens all day, every day.
Mm.
And people think that current pro athletes, in some way, shape, or form, whether it's directly or indirectly, are not currently wagering on their own sport. You're wrong. Now, not all of them are. I hope it's not the majority.
Mm-hmm.
But I will guarantee you, as sure as I'm standing here, there are active players in every sport that are gambling on their sport, whether it's directly or
100%.
Yeah, and
100%.
The problem is
100%, and it may actually be somewhat innocent. Like, you're not like trying to control the game. Like, you're not trying to. Maybe you don't even bet on yourself. Like, you're not trying to control the game or the outcomes. You're just, hey, I like the Blazers in this game, or. Well, then it comes off as like insider trading almost, right? Where it's like, oh, I know this guy has like a little nagging injury. He told me about it last week. I know he's got a nagging injury, so maybe I do this with my fantasy FanDuel fantasy team, or just gambling like a money line or something. So it's a little sketchy, but it still comes off as like relatively innocent, right? Because they're just like. Yes, they're betting on their own sport, but they're like just watching other teams. It's kind of like Pete Rose. I bet on myself. It like comes off as kind of innocent. even though you can see where the implications can go to.
Man, I don't even believe that. He did not bet on himself.
You don't think he bet on himself?
I think he did, but he also bet against himself. Come on, bro.
He's just Hawkeyeing the starting pitcher on his own team.
Come
Like,
on,
look at this
guy.
motherfucker. Look at him.
He ain't cutting it.
He starts benching players for doing too good. Fuck. You're on the bench. All right. Here we go.
In football, I think by proxy, you can still get in trouble. But in baseball, kind of technically, you can dodge it. Right? The way the
Yeah,
because you have to make the bet in baseball.
Stringent.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but look, once they decided that they're going to let guys wager on every other sport except for their own. Like you went to Virginia, you're probably friends with the guy who played basketball on the varsity basketball team, right?
Yeah, of course.
He doesn't want to admit it after this week. But yes.
Right, well, it's a bad game. But like you're on the Giants, it doesn't mean you're not friends with a guy in the NBA.
Yeah, of course.
So, and you guys talk, hey, what's Michael Strahan really like? What's Tom Coughlin really like? And that goes back and forth. And there'll be guys that'll wager on that information, 100%.
Yeah. Amazing. It'll be a fascinating story to follow over the next couple of weeks. Craig, I appreciate it. 7 a.m.
I'll give you one
FS1.
last thought.
Yes.
This is just food for thought.
Yes.
Like I'm trying to figure out what happened that would make Ohtani's advisors and now this law firm out in California, what would make them within an hour after the interpreter was interviewed by ESPN, I think Thompson was the reporter.
Yeah.
What would make them suddenly do an about face and throw this guy under the bus? And to me, one of the things you have to at least consider
He did it to himself,
is
too.
that he bet on baseball. And if he bet on baseball and Ohtani's bailing him out, Ohtani's now guilty by association.
Yeah.
If he bet on baseball and Ohtani's going to claim the money was stolen from me, I had no idea, he creates a little buffer for himself there.
Right.
So
Makes a lot of
consider that.
sense. Makes a lot of sense. You're right.
Yep.
Thank you, man. We appreciate
All right. Yeah, now that I found out that shit's not illegal for him to do, for them to make a bet with a bookie, it's more of the bookie that's being looked at as far as like prosecution or illegality. That would make me lean even more towards I come off from rep believing that Ohtani was making bets. I come off rep, I'm thinking that. That's my little theory with it. But for them to like overtly try to cover it up like that by having the interpreter say like, oh no, I didn't say anything. I take that back. You can't run that story. And then then Ohtani's team comes out. He stole money from us. He stole money from Shohei, and that's how he's paying this off. It would add some credibility to the idea of Shohei Ohtani being involved in something that's gambling on baseball itself. It would lend some credence to that, I think, of a theory. Granted, we do not know enough, but yeah, there's theories that are worthwhile looking at in this story, and who knows what comes of it. I don't know. Anything you want to say, Anthony? Before I end this?
No, I'm just laughing, bro. Like,
It's a lot.
this thing's crazy, bro. Like, what the fuck? That's the number one question. Like, why is anyone betting this fucking money? Like, I don't get it. You making $500,000. It has to be a vanity project by Ohtani. Why would this guy has a fucking sweetheart. This guy has the job of all time. He just has to fucking interpret a language for this guy. And he gets to fly around the entire world, bro.
Yes.
And you're gonna throw that away for what?
They probably go to parties together. He probably is living
He's
the
rubbing
life.
shoulders with the most influential people in the world. This guy's rubbing shoulders with. Dude's having the time of his life. And like I said, he wasn't just an interpreter. He was a lot more than that. A lot more than that. So It's just like he does something means Ohtani did it. And now they're trying to make it like a legality thing where no, Ohtani didn't know. And oh me, oh my. Well, how could he have done this to me? Like, I don't even think Ohtani's there yet. Well, he is when he said, yeah, he is when he threw the guy under the bus.
Yeah, but how does that make sense? How did he get his hands on your money
Yeah,
without you knowing
that's
about
like
it?
that's probably the biggest like red flag is how did this guy get anywhere near your bank accounts to just take money out willy nilly?
At the very least, a million.
And then why is your signature or your name, whatever, on these withdrawals?
Like,
There is safeguards. There are definitely safeguards
oh
to
yes,
pull out $500,000 at a time.
yes.
Which it's just not. No bank in America is just giving you that money, or even anywhere in the world. No bank is just, oh yeah, just take it. Don't worry, but we're not gonna ask questions.
Ohtani or this Mizuhara, the interpreter, cannot just open up Otani's laptop and just start transferring money wherever the
Yeah,
fuck he wants to. Like,
unless Ohtani is telling him.
yes. Or here's a little. I mean, usually there's like probably like on the phone, like verbal, like confirmations. Hey, is this you? Are you?
They'll call you. Yeah,
Yeah.
they'll call you.
Right. Now, what if? Now, here's a weird little theory. What if the translator is the guy who? Now, could that be possible? The guy who would be talking on the phone because he's a translator, right? Like, if the bank calls, would this guy be on the phone talking for Ohtani?
Well,
Like
it's like
in a
it's like
normal
the whole
situation.
Kanye thing where like Kanye didn't own a phone, but he might have had in like a publicist or an assistant
Yeah.
who would handle that. It's like you could see that. You could see that being plausible. It's still like the fact he's like the whole like language barrier thing. He's almost in a. It's as crazy as the story looks. He has an out
Yeah. But
on that alone.
either it's like, dude, that's $500,000, bro.
Yeah, at a
Dude,
time, not
that's
once, not twice. What, like 12 times? That's what will make 4.5 million.
But I don't know. I don't know if that
I don't know if
is.
it's each time. Yeah, but
I don't know if
we're
he
talking
spent
about
all that
high
money.
sums.
I don't know if he spent all that money. I don't know if he paid up to 4.5, but they're saying he incurred $4.5 million in
Oh,
debt.
okay.
We
Okay,
we
I
do
got
know
you.
we do know about $1 million, which is two different like checks
Yeah,
for $500,000, right?
and that's like, come on, dude, that's crazy. Like, who's just giving $1 million away? I don't give a fuck how good of a friend you are. You're not just giving it away.
Let me throw out another scenario here to where maybe the bank is used to this. What if the bank is used to
It's used
him
to him
dishing out
withdrawing.
shit tons of money to where this looks normal? Sort of
Could be.
like oh, another $500,000 check. Okay, it's all confirmed already because they're used to this guy doing this already. So they're like, all
Yeah,
right, cool. What
it's
if?
plausible. It's certainly plausible.
I don't know the security, checks they have to go through in order to dish out $500,000 or large sums of
He's
money.
made a lot of money, so I mean, yeah. If anybody's gonna have the benefit of the doubt from the bank, it'd be this guy.
Wait, are you guys still on about the
Yes.
the thing that
Yes.
happened with the
Yes.
gambling? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, like man,
Yeah, you can't transfer out that much money. You'd have to like
It'd be crazy, right,
you
Jesse?
can't.
That shit would.
They don't let you. Like the bank does not
So
move that money like that.
hold on, because I want to end this video soon. I want to ask Jesse a question. Like, how if someone were to steal that, like steal it from a friend, like under their nose, be able to get into their computer or something and wire $500,000 to a fucking random bookie, like how difficult would that be for the guy to actually steal that money? Like, is there like
Well,
procedures?
if you had the account information,
Yeah.
but even to wire it, it's like $25,000 limit. Like there, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, right.
They might have bigger accounts, but well, maybe they might have some
Like
business account.
like $500,000, the fucking company's not gonna, like, because it's not going it's going under the name of loan. I think it is in the bookie's book or whatever, or the papers they found. It's going under the name of a loan, right? And from a personal bank account, right? So I don't think it's like business orientated, right? Was it the business of bookies? The Bookies Association of America? Is he donating money there or something? Like, no, it's not going to fucking
No, okay. So Jordan,
some company or anything like that.
you're wrong though.
How's that?
ESPN reports that at least 4.5 million in wire transfers were sent from Otani's
Really?
bank account
Really?
what
to a
the
California bookmaker.
fuck?
Oh, I thought that was just a debt that was, built up.
No,
Oh,
he probably
shit.
owes more.
Oh
Oh,
boy.
that's a fucking lot of money.
That's a
He
lot
doesn't.
of money, dude.
He doesn't lose every time,
Wait.
right?
This
So
this guy apparently was losing all the time, bro.
Yeah, well,
no, I
yeah.
mean you could lose that much, but that's like his balance. Like there would have been
Wait.
full movement, like bets up and down, like a casino, right? Like
Yeah, but that's like it's. How do you get to 4.5 million? Is he betting? Is he betting 500,000 on every bet? Like probably not, right? It's got to be like 20,000 here,
crap.
30,000 here, something like that,
It
right?
must be every day. It has to be every day, Jordan.
So yeah, it has
Every
to be
day.
something crazy, right?
He's betting every day 20K, 15K, 30K, 40K.
And once again, how the fuck is the bookie supposed to know he's good for it unless he knows that he's backed by Ohtani?
yeah.
He needs the superstar who makes hundreds of millions of dollars.
But who's to say it was a one-time payoff? How do we know it wasn't continuously and it built up to 4.5 million?
I don't know. What do you mean?
That's actually true.
Continuous payoff?
Like the IRS on Thursday confirmed that Mizuhara and Matthew Bauer, the alleged illegal bookmaker, are under criminal investigation through the agency's Los Angeles. This IRS brought this claim up, dude.
Oh, true. That's what Samson was saying. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Los Angeles Field Office IRS Criminal Investigation spokesperson Scott Viller said he could not provide additional details. And
They're looking further into it. That's what Samson was saying. Was like you can't just give someone this amount of money. There has to be some sort of, yes. It has to be you have to put it under the category of like gift or something like that, or give it like a Tyler. It has to be.
And
like,
he's saying
accounted for.
He's saying why would you make it this way and not get it written off? You can get that written off.
Well, the money needs to be trackable. If it's going to a bookie, then the bookie's clearly laundering it, right? Legal bookie is going to launder whatever money he's involved with.
Yeah.
Which means that money kind of, in a way, disappears. It leaves Ohtani's bank account and it goes nowhere as far as like on paper. If he's
Listen to this. The guy that allegedly is the bookie, right?
Yeah, Matthew
He
Bauer.
was emphatic. Bauer's lawyer Diane Boss told CBS Sports the following: Mr. Bauer had no contact with Mr. Ohtani. Like he made that clear that he wanted that known. Which is making me think he definitely did have.
Yeah. Directly, or it's not even indirect, like directly through Mizuhara, the translator, or in a weird, like, which would be very dumb for Ohtani to do, meet him in person somehow, because they're saying Mizuhara met the Bauer guy through a poker, I think, right? They're doing some sort of poker game, and that's how these two met each other, and then he started building up fucking gambling debts to that guy.
Yeah. Mizuhara said that he previously had placed bets via DraftKings and assumed bets placed through Bauer were illegal. Then he went on to say, obviously, Ohtani wasn't happy about it, and he said he would help me out to make sure I never do this again. Mizuhara said he decided to pay it off for me.
Hold on. Because, okay, let's say DraftKings or FanDuel or anything like that. When you use these sites, you have to have your location turned on. And if he's around Ohtani all the time,
Cali, right? He can't bet in Cali, right?
Exactly. If that's not legal in California to use FanDuel or any of that shit, then maybe when he went to other states, he was using it. But then
Vegas is the closest one.
But why would he not try it in California without realizing that it's illegal there? Like I thought it was like DraftKings. Well, there is no DraftKings in California, so how'd you just find this random bookie? Apparently, you were at a card game and found him, or something like that, which may have been Ohtani himself there too.
Yeah.
Who knows?
He's like he released the following statement. This is the first statement. I want everyone to know Shohei had zero involvement in betting. I want people to know I didn't know this was illegal. I learned my lesson the hard way. I will never do sports betting ever again. Then, according to ESPN, Mizuhara changed his story Wednesday, claiming instead that Ohtani had no knowledge of his gambling debts and that Ohtani had not transferred money to the book. It's like, this is sus.
It's super sus.
This
Holy
sus,
shit.
bro.
That is baseball for you. That is
Dude.
baseball in a fucking nutshell.
Wait,
Alright.
this guy was willing to ruin his career over freaking this type of scandal when he makes that fucking type of money? Dude, that's stupid.
To say
It's
the
alleged.
least. To say the
As
least,
of,
yeah.
as of
That's
now, it's alleged, but it's looking like, yeah, dude, you had something to do with it. You definitely had something to do with it.
and once again,
Dude.
let's say FanDuel and DraftKings and all that shit was actually in California and allowed to do in California. This dude's not going to be able to bet his, 40 fucking K, right? He can't bet 40K in fucking on FanDuel, can he? That'd be too much money, right?
Maybe they're probably a cap at like 100K, 80K. I think you could definitely bet 40K, bro.
Okay, well, hey, maybe that means he did a lot of gambling, a lot,
Otani could
and a lot
also
of losing.
he could also potentially face legal issues. As a California gambling law expert explained to CBS Sports, there are so many potential crimes here, state and federal, and the big dangers with violating the anti-gambling laws is they're all written to go after organized crime, which means all the organized crime statutes can kick in, like RICO and money laundering.
That'd be a
Nelson
reach,
Rose,
though. I think that'd be a Rico him.
What? Where is he from?
he's from Japan.
Japan. I think that'd be a reach to Rico him because he's not like.
Oh,
I mean, he kind of is.
dude.
He's playing a large role in funding the operation, right? He is but that's just from him losing bets, right? That's not like him, like, hey man, I want to help your business out. Let me support you with money, right?
I'm fucking older than he is.
Yeah.
I'm older than this dude. Oh.
Yeah. All right. Anything else you want to add, Anthony? To that?
No, that's it. He didn't take any questions. The Dodgers PR guarded Otani's locker as he came, then told reporters he would not be speaking. When reporters surrounded his locker, asking if he had a second anyway, he walked by and out of the clubhouse saying what the Japanese reporters translated as "have a good night."
Yeah, no English. You guys took my
Yeah,
interpreter away. No English for you now.
he pulled the Sosa. He's right. He's fucking right, dude.
All right.
And yeah, this guy was going everywhere. This guy was going to NFL games with him. This guy was going to events everywhere. This guy was everywhere. Ohtani, like, come on, dude. It wasn't just a baseball thing. It was anywhere this guy is in the United States, he's with him.
He's Ohtani's Taylor Swift, bro. He's just following the game. Oh shit. This is Thank you, baseball. What a major story. Thank God baseball's back in the headlines. Not for their sport, of course. No one cares about the actual sport. Like, thank God you're back in the headlines. We'll take it.
So
any press is good press. All right.
Well,
What?
Oh wait.
All right. That is the end of this video. God bless America and God bless baseball.